This is going to be an epic showdown. Though Tactical and Scafo99.
Going one more and still being able to catch on the Alolan Ninetales. And again, yet another catch by Though Tactical here.
What is up, everyone? I battled the biggest ever official Pokemon Go tournament at the 2023 European International Championships in London and did pretty well. Reached top 8, as you can see by the playmat I just hung up. And today I want to recap everything that happened that weekend. Starting with the team I decided to run, which ended up being Shadow Alolan Ninetales with Powder Snow, Trevenant, Obstagoon, Shadow Charizard, Registeel, and finally Spark Lantern. This is a team I blatantly stole from my friend Inadequance, because I couldn't make up something myself. I actually tried out several different teams the couple weeks leading up to the tournament. Actually, a lot of different teams. I'll show you a couple now. This is the one I was gonna run originally, but I decided to not to, like the morning of the tournament, and switch to Inadequance's team. And it's another one I tried. Walrein is pretty interesting in this meta, but man, I just got RPS every single game. This team is pretty fun, made by my friend Amine Joke, but I couldn't make the A/ work as well as he does. This team was just way too meta, and I just got RPS'd every single game. Oh, and here we are back at Martine's team, basically, and those other teams, I tried out a bunch more. I must have done like 30 practice games, trying out several different teams, and I probably won like 4 or 5 of them. So yes, I wasn't really feeling very good about those teams at all, and also not about my play. So the morning of the tournament, I decided, you know what, Martine's team, Inadequance's team looks very interesting. I'll just run that. And this is what it ended up being. The main, like, center Pokemon of this team, I would say, is probably Trevenant, a Pokemon that is extremely strong in this meta, beats all the water types, Lantern, Swampert, which I think is very important in this meta. One thing I want to say about this meta, I think Water Gun Lantern especially and Swampert are extremely strong, and if you don't counter them appropriately, you're going to be in huge trouble. So a Grass on my squad was basically necessary. The problem with Grass on your team is that you also get hard-walled by 2 extremely common Pokemon in Noctowl and Alolan Ninetales, which this team covers very, very well. Noctowl gets hard countered by Alolan Ninetales, Registeel, and Lantern. And then Alolan Ninetales really doesn't want to see Registeel, Lantern, and Obstagoon, Charizard, and Alolan Ninetales are also quite fine against it. So Trevenant's counters are covered very, very well, which allows Trevenant to really shine, and it did. I must say, this was definitely my MVP in this tournament. Besides that, I really liked that the team has Charizard, basically my favorite Pokemon to use in the current meta. It's amazing at closing games. If you can get rid of the opposing Lantern, or if they don't run Lantern at all, Charizard just really, really shines. Also, another interesting pick is the Obstagoon, a Pokemon you don't see that much often. The preferred fighter is Medicham, and well, Obstagoon gets absolutely destroyed by Medicham. So originally I wasn't really feeling this pick that much, but it definitely came in clutch sometimes, as it can really core break some teams. And besides that, some teams really only have Medicham for it on their team, which just allows me to run Trevenant and Charizard to counter the Medicham that they're extremely likely to bring. And that happened quite a bit, where I would bait out there, or they would have to run Medicham because they're very afraid of my Obstagoon, and I would be able to just farm it down with Trevenant or Charizard and sweep games because of that. And there was also cases where Obstagoon just core broke my opponent's team completely. They would run like 2 Ghosts and a Steel, and Obstagoon would just sweep, which was very, very nice. Anyway, at 9 AM on Saturday, the tournament begins. All 256 players are split into 8 equal groups. Within these groups, you'll battle until there's only 2 players in each group remaining, which will then move on to the top 16. I was placed in Group B, which ended up being a very stacked group actually, because we had the eventual winner of the tournament, Tonton Batus, as well as the winner of the first EU International Championship, Eris, and also some other really great players like Chonkus, Nikovic, Wells, Snailmon, Andres, and more. and myself, of course, who is playing as Thomas Young, fellow Thomas, in round 1. Unfortunately, I don't have the recording of these battles, as well as a recording of many battles, so just go through these brackets real quick until we do end up at a battle I have the footage of. But yeah, these first 3 rounds, I 2-0'd. Felt really good. Honestly, I was pretty stressed going into the tournament. Usually, at the first couple rounds, I'm quite nervous, and then once I am at round 3 or 4, I get a little less nervous, which I don't think really helped me. I think I play better with nerves. As round 4, I lose against a fellow Dutchman, Sneeuwman23, who really played amazing. He had a very annoying Altaria double steal line, which is kind of hard for my team to manage, but I could have done it if he had played a little worse. But yeah, he played perfectly. So unfortunately, I moved down to the losers bracket where I had to fight another Dutchman, Nikovic010. Actually, Nikovic, or Nick, is the first ever player to beat me in a Sylph tournament, all the way back like 3-4 years ago. In Sylph Season 1, Nikovic was the first player to beat me after I went unbeaten for like a couple tournaments. So yeah, facing him again in one of these Play Pokemon tournaments was pretty epic, and luckily history did not repeat itself. After him, I beat Second City Saint 90, who ran a Berserker. Very annoying Pokemon for my team, but luckily I RPS'd him twice. Then, losers finals of my group, I faced Sneeuwman again, but this time the better strategy, and I utilized my Charizard and Obstagoon to victory, basically. That win got me into the top 16, where I first had to battle against Dianoski, like Dunsparce, I think, and beat him 2-0. Richie Beckett, I beat 2-0 as well, which I was very happy with. I made a very good call in game 1 there. Richie Beckett actually ran a team with Lickitung, Noctowl, and Umbreon. 3 hard counters against my Trevenant. So you would think I wouldn't bring it, right? But I did. And he ran Stunfisk, Lantern, and Medicham, the exact 3 Pokemon that would lose against my Trevenant. Not expecting me to bring it, but I did, so I swept him. That was quite nice. In the game 2, my Charizard really swept. And then we end up going into top 8, where I first faced my good friend Scaffo. And this game is finally on stream. Scaffo was a player I talk and practice with regularly, so I was really looking forward to this match. He's running a team of Noctowl, Medicham, Powder Snow, Ninetales, Shadow Swampert, Trevenant, and Registeel. On first sight, I think I have the advantage here, because my Charizard puts in so much work versus this team. Basically beats everything in the 2 shields except for Alola Ninetales. Funnily enough, even though Alola Ninetales is an Ice type, it's the best counter to Charizard here, because it is able to beat it in all even shield scenarios except for the zeros. Even Swampert can't do that, because Swampert does win the zeros and 1s, but not the 2s, as I can just basically wing attack and Dragon Claw down. So overall, I'm feeling pretty good here. If I can utilize my Charizard properly, I should be able to win, but I do really have to watch out for that Alola Ninetales, which I really only have Registeel and Lantern for. And he has some pretty good answers for those, especially for the Registeel is Medi, Swamp, and Trevenant, so pretty risky Pokemon to bring. And then Lantern doesn't do that well versus Swampert. Trevenant, of course, a huge issue, and really only has Alola Ninetales and Noctowl as like targets, so I'm feeling pretty good, but anything can happen here. First match, I go with a very simple team of Alola Ninetales, Charizard, Lantern. The idea here is there's only 3 Pokemon on Scaffo's team that I don't really want to switch Charizard into. Those are Noctowl, Alola Ninetales, and Shadow Swampert. And my best Pokemon versus those 3 Pokemon is probably my own Alola Ninetales, as it has play versus all 3 of them. So if I face any of those 3, I stay in. If I face any of the other 3, Registeel, Medi, or Trevenant, I might even consider switching out into Charizard eventually to start getting an energy lead. First game, I leave the Scaffo Swampert, which is super fine with me. I'm just gonna stay in with my Alola Ninetales. And eventually, once I've gotten it low enough, I can go to my Charizard. Scaffo actually decides to try to catch a Weather Ball on this Registeel, which I don't allow. I switch in my Charizard instantly, and since I switch so quickly, I actually get to the Blast Burn at the same time as the Zap Cannon here. So I throw immediately. Scaffo didn't throw yet, knowing that it would be a CMP tie. I'm just gonna speed up this battle a little bit, by the way. Just do 1.5. This point, I'm kind of worried. He has 2 shields. If he double shields Blast Burns and gets 2 shields with Zap Cannons, he might be able to switch out and throw the Hydro Cannon he just banked on his Swampert. That's what I'm afraid of. But I think if I throw my Blast Burn immediately, I should be able to prevent that. Very good play by Scaffo, by the way. He knows Charizard is such a problem for my team, and his entire strategy right now is built to try to take it out. Luckily, I was able to throw the Blast Burn before the Swampert through the Hydro, though. So this is looking pretty good. In comes Noctowl now. I kind of want to save my Charizard, so I switch into my Alola Ninetales to catch this Sky Attack, and I have a Blast Burn stored on my Charizard, which I can probably use to knock out the Swampert later. Do have a Lantern in the back, which might make that play seem kind of weird, because I kind of do need my Alola Ninetales to take out the Swampert, but seeing as I had a Blast Burn saved on my Charizard right there, I felt safe kind of sacrificing my Alola Ninetales there. Scaffo gonna take out my Ninetales now. At this point I should be looking pretty good. I think I bring in Charizard, just go for the Dragon Claw, and now the Noctowl will be aligned to my Lantern, and I should be able to win this game. Unfortunately, he gets to the move here. I would have really liked to not show my Lantern, because that would have, you know, hidden my third Pokemon. He would have less information about me, but unfortunately I had to show it. That's fine though, still win the game. GG's. I'm feeling quite confident with this strategy, so just run it again in game 2, and I lead into a Shadow Alola Ninetales mirror. Not the worst, as my Charizard is not on this at least, but I don't love it as it's quite bait dependent. You're gonna see us both overfarm to 10 here. I did that. Well, I overfarmed because I thought I would lose CMP against his Alola Ninetales, as mine is quite low attack. Clearly, I do win, which makes this play a mistake. Actually, since I thought I would lose CMP, I go straight for Dazzling Gleam, since the last thing I want to happen is for Scaffo to take a shield off of me and then let his Alola Ninetales go. Because at this point, if I'm energy dry and he's a shield up, his Swampert might be able to sweep my team. So, and I'm going straight for Dazzling Gleam here, not baiting, because again, I thought I would lose CMP. If I bait, and I lose CMP, I think there's a huge chance he lets the Weather Ball go through. So I went straight for it. And since I won CMP, it's actually a misplay because this is an obvious shield. So Noah's going to shield at this point. And he does. He goes for a move. I'm thinking he went straight for it as well, seeing as this is just such a huge risk, and I shield, and this just puts me in a horrible spot as he can now just go for the Dazzling Gleam. I'm gonna let it go. A shields down Charizard really isn't that good, so I need to save a shield, and now I just bring in my Lantern. Really hoping I can sweep with my Charizard in the end game, but he also built up some energy on the Alola Ninetales. So I'm not looking good here. In comes Swampert against my Lantern too. This is not the worst matchup. But Earthquake will knock me out again. I have to save shields for Charizard, otherwise it's just over. Also, I'm expecting Registeel, so I needed that shield for Zap Cannon. Ends up being Metacham though. Maybe I could have used a shield, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I just have to farm this all the way down, use a shield on Charizard. I have energy ready, and then whatever comes in, I have to build up so much energy to take out the Alola Ninetales later. In comes Metacham. I just throw my Blast Burn on 6 on the CMP tie with the Ice Punch. This is actually gonna knock out the Metacham, which is just insane damage. Just why I love Charizard. I'm gonna go for the bait here. They will likely get a shield, but unfortunately, here's already at the Weather Ball. That will definitely knock me out, and I won't be able to get to the next Blast Burn. Right? Yes, it does knock me out. And we're 1-1 going into game 3. In game 3, I decided to do something I basically never do, and it is lead Charizard. Charizard is so much better in the back when it has energy. Shields are down, but I decided to lead it this time, as it does have like 4 matchups at least that I can win in the 2 shields consistently, and then Noctowl I can beat in the 2s with baits. The only really bad lead for me is Alola Ninetales, which I wasn't expecting him to lead again. because I did practice a little bit versus Scaffo earlier this week, and with a different Charizard team, and I never led Charizard against him, so I wasn't expecting him to expect me to do it now, but as you can see, there's another Ninetales on the other side of the screen, and this is looking pretty bad. Now, Charizard is definitely not hopeless here. Of course, a Blast Burn does one shot, and I win the zeros, I'm pretty sure. So I could have decided to let this go, but I want to keep my Charizard alive. I think if I can get a farm down on something later, it can do a lot of work. I'm going to throw a Dragon Claw here right before the second Weather Ball, and then I'm going to try to catch the second one on my Alola Ninetales, which I do manage right here to catch the Weather Ball. This is really nice, but unfortunately, Scaffo is a really hard answer to my Ninetales in the back with the Registeel, which means he can just farm up all the energy lost right there up to another Weather Ball, dip out into Registeel, and just soak all this energy. So he really didn't lose anything from me catching that move, unfortunately. Just gonna throw the Zap here. If he kills me right here, that's still kind of fine with me, as I can farm up a bunch with my Charizard, but he makes a beautiful undercharge right there, which makes this even tougher for me. I throw another Dazzling Gleam, doesn't really matter though. Actually, this does put him in Dragon Claw range at least. I can overfarm a bit, not as much as I would have liked, but I do overfarm a bit. Throw the Dragon Claw, this will knock out the Registeel. Now, I catch another Weather Ball on my Registeel in the back, but again, there's another hard counter to my Registeel in the back in the Swampert, so he can just farm up to another Weather Ball and dip out into the Swampert. Now, this is not hopeless quite yet. Focus Blast does a ton here, so I'm gonna go for it immediately. He lets it go, and now it's gonna be decision time. I thought he might just go for the Earthquake here. And if he goes for Earthquake, letting my Registeel go would not be a bad play if I can Wing Attack down in one Wing Attack, because then he doesn't get to the Hydro. However, I was afraid this wasn't one Wing Attack range, and looking at that health, I don't think that's one Wing Attack. That's definitely two Wing Attacks, so I'm gonna end up shielding this. Unfortunately though, it ends up being the Hydro, which I think is the smart play from Scaffo actually. Oh, and I end up going for Focus Blast here too, by the way, and since I'm so healthy, does have shield this. But yeah, Hydro ends up being the correct play by Scaffo, since my Registeel is so low. Even if I know shield that, he could have just much shot me down. So yeah, that makes sense. Gonna have to shield this. Oh, unfortunately, my Charizard is not up yet. He goes to 2 Hydro Cannons. Now he is in 1 Wing Attack range. I think I'm 1 Wing Attack away from my Blast Burn. So if this is the Hydro, if this is Earthquake, that's fine. I bring in Charizard, a Wing Attack down, a Blast Burn, the A9. If this is Hydro, I gotta bring in my Charizard to hopefully Wing Attack down before he gets off his next Hydro. I know he already has another one, but I gotta hope he throws a Mud Shot. So that's what I'm gonna do. Going to Charizard, and unfortunately, he waits a turn there. Look at that. Look at that. He waits a turn to make sure he doesn't throw the Hydro into the Registeel. And that means I didn't get the Wing Attack down, and that wins him the game, as he can now Weather Ball his Alola Ninetales. I saw in the Twitch chat during when I watched it back that people were saying this was a throw, switching in my Charizard right here. I don't think so. I think it was literally my only win con, as I didn't have the Blast Burn quite yet. And as you can see, after this Hydro, his switch timer will be up. Look at that. Meaning that if I had stayed in with Registeel and went for the lock-on down on Swampert, he would have just Hydroed my Registeel, or maybe not even. But either way, the Ninetales would have been able to throw the Weather Ball before my Charizard would ever get to a Blast Burn. So I think the way I played this game was really the only way to win. But unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. Scaffo played this way too well, had a great initial call, and then just played perfectly. And Scaffo ends up winning the best of 3. Which, honestly, I wasn't even that sad about. I already have a ticket to the World Championship because of my runner-up placement at the Lille Regionals. And my friend Scaffo here didn't. And because of this win, he was able to make it. So glad for him, happy for him. Congrats on the invite, Scaffo. Anyway, that's it for my tournament run. Overall, quite happy with how I did, making top 8 at EOIC for the 2nd year in a row. Is something I'm quite proud of, to be honest. And my friend Scaffo going to Worlds is pretty exciting as well, even if it came at a cost. Anyway, I want to finish this video by talking about the most important part of this event, the people. meeting you, the community, and all the friends I've made over the years of playing Pokemon Go at these events is just amazing. And if you're ever considering going to one of these events, I would say do it. Just for the people, meeting the community, it's truly amazing. So thanks everyone who was at EOIC, who talked to me, told me whatever. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.